Good morning everyone and welcome back to another video here on the channel where today I want to talk about speedrunning, but we're going to be talking about speedrunning with of course LEGO in mind. So first, before we get into that interesting topic, I thought I should define what speedrunning is in games as per Wikipedia. So for those of you who don't know, a speedrun is a playthrough or recording thereof of a whole video game or selected part of it, such as a single level, performed with the intention of completing it as fast as possible. Now, there are many different categories for this, and what makes speedrunning such an interesting watch is that these games are so broken with their glitches. So how could that apply to LEGO? Well, that's the interesting question. I can think of three ways. The first is by playing through the video games as fast as possible, just like a normal speedrun. They are video games, normal speedrunning rules apply, not simple to comprehend. We also have the LEGO Mario course building system, which technically allows for LEGO Mario speedruns. We'll get more into that in a minute. And then thirdly, the way I want to talk about is the building a set as fast as possible. So LEGO video game speedrun is a fairly simple idea. This is not new or interesting. They already exist on speedrun.com. They're exactly like normal speedruns. They have the same rules as normal speedruns. Any percent complete the game as fast as possible, no glitches. 100% complete everything in the game as fast as possible with glitches. Glitchless. No glitches, complete the game as fast as possible. It's not a difficult concept to understand. So what I wanted to move on to is the LEGO Mario speedrun. And this is not our final destination either. Our final destination is much more interesting than the two types of Mario speedruns I could come up with. The first type is the any percent run, which is obviously complete the game with whatever means necessary as fast as possible. Doesn't matter how much you achieve, where you would literally just put Mario in the pipe, put him on the pole. Not a very interesting category to run because it lasts as fast as human reaction as possible, and as fast as Mario can scan the barcode. You don't even have to step on the Goomba. You just go pipe, pole, done. What might be more interesting is the 100 coin percent run, which I think is a thing, and also the 50 coin percent run that the Resna Knockdown introduces as actually an official thing in the LEGO Mario sets. And this is basically, in my eyes, how fast can a human collect 100 coins? And again, it's interesting for the first time where the runners will try and compete up until who's got the best things, but it's a bit pay to win, or depending on which sets you have, gets you the most coins. But once the most effective method's down and like the human error is tuned out, then it's not going to be an interesting category again until the new sets come out. So again, it's not my favorite concept that we've come up with, mainly because it's pretty boring as far as the speedrun goes. Now, where I think the real interest comes in is speedrunning build, which is something I talked about. And this would be the fastest time to complete an entire set build. And this is not something that's completely unique that I've thought of. This has been done at LEGO conventions before, where you get 6 people in a room, they unbox a set, and the first one to build it wins. But that's just testing build speed. But firstly, before we get into what makes this unique, I want to clarify this is not like LEGO Masters. LEGO Masters is a building competition to see who can build the best tree in the shortest time or whatever. This is not what I'm talking about. This is exclusively towards sets. So what's special about speedrunning with LEGO is going to be that you take one set and you absolutely master how it's constructed. So whether that's in the form of memorizing instructions or becoming efficient with how you put the set together, or just being well optimized or changing up the route. And there's lots of different categories that could be implemented here. So let's go through a couple of those. First up, we have any percent, finish the build by any means necessary. And the example I've chosen to give here is with the Hogwarts Castle 71043, where in the roof of the last stage of the building there are a couple of support red bricks, and obviously there's support bricks throughout the entire model. I bet if you investigated the set enough, you could find at least 10 of these that are necessary to meet LEGO standards, but not necessary to complete the build by any means necessary. Now that's the difference between any percent and like 100%. You don't have to complete the whole build. Obviously, the build from the outside has to look complete. Like all of the functions have to be working, all of the like figures have to be built, all of the interiors. But if it's a completely hidden brick that's only structural support, well, you can't tell from the outside, so you're finishing the build by any means necessary, therefore cutting it out because it's not strictly necessary. So that's what I would define as an any percent build, and the challenge there is obviously not only optimizing how you build the set, but working out and doing the research to which pieces can be structurally removed. Next up, we have 0%, which is obviously opposite to any percent really, because any percent you would just have all your pieces from all the bags, and I mean all the bags. This is not a sealed set. This is an open set in any percent. all the pieces, all 6,000 in the Harry Potter Hogwarts Castle case, and they're in a random pile, and you have the RNG of obviously finding the pieces that you need. I can't believe I just used RNG in a Lego case. Oh, in a 0%, before you even start the clock, you would sort out all your pieces, which eliminates that RNG of finding the random pieces. So for people that don't like sifting through big piles or don't have the stamina required to do a big speed run, this would be better for them. Obviously, this means that all the pieces are available at once. Once again, just like any percent, all the pieces are out, and obviously it's a fairly big setup time between runs. However, depending on how you knoll and where you know to look for pieces, this could be a really interesting category to optimize, because you've got to learn where the pieces are, you've got to learn what works best for you, you've got to learn which is the quickest hand movements to reach and stuff. So there's definitely some interest in this category as well. Next up we have sealed percent, and this would only be possible with a new and sealed copy of the set. You would literally start, open the box, order the bags in whatever order is most optimal for you, and as soon as you tear the seal open on bag 1, the timer starts. And this sort of adds the challenge of either blind, like it's a blind speed run because you've never built the set before, or if it's your like second copy, it just sort of makes it feel like different. I don't know, it feels like it's its own category, maybe it's not. But that definitely adds some interest. I mean, it's the only category where all the pieces are not separated by bags, unless that's your knolling technique, is to separate them by bags as well. I mean, it's up to you. There's different variations between the categories. I think it's interesting that there are so many options. And then, of course, there's 100%, where the entire build must be completed. It doesn't have to be done in the correct order, but it does have to be there. This could either be a knolled percent or a sealed percent. It's up to you really, but it's 100%. The whole build must be completed. I think that's fairly explanatory. The Colosseum, interestingly, already has the whole Colosseum 100% is already a Guinness World Record. Now, obviously, it's not recognized as what I've just described as Lego speedrunning, but I believe the channel All New Bricks still holds the 100% record for building the Colosseum as fast as possible. So that would be an interesting one to attempt. I mean, I don't know. It's a pretty big build. So what makes Lego speedrunning viable as an interesting thing to watch? And it definitely won't be for everyone, but the 4 things that I picked out on why I want to actually give this a go is the potential skips and unique routing that you could see. So, for example, in the Tower of Orthanc, in my experience rebuilding the set with no bags, obviously not in the speedrun capacity, but just in general, I never build the end first because it's always really hard to find the brown pieces. In fact, I start with the tower and then do the side builds, which have more of the small and finicky pieces last. You could also see this with detailed interiors in the modulars, where people get the big brick built walls out of the way and then come back and install things like the furniture and tiles, because it's harder to see through all the big pieces, especially in something like any percent where you've got that RNG in it. So this unique routing could make it a very interesting thing to like optimize and watch and work out what is fastest. And also the potential skips involved, like I mentioned in the Hogwarts roof, analyzing a set and working out what's actually not necessary could be a very interesting thing to see. Another example I've just thought of with skips is, although it's less stable, you would not need to put a single Technic axle rod through any of the pillars in something like the roller coaster. Another thing that makes it interesting, and I guess interesting for the viewer, not so much for the runner, would be the RNG. If you lose a run to failed pieces, that's going to be interesting to watch. Or if you get really good luck with finding the pieces, that's also very good. And that's a skill as well. I've noticed that over the last couple of years, I've developed a skill in being able to find pieces in a pile. So who knows? Maybe that's something interesting as well. And then the final thing is optimized movement. I don't know if anyone's ever watched a mirror build, so someone's built a mirrored Lego set just using the initial instructions, but that always just breaks my head. And I think it's the same deal here, where with some optimized two-hand movement and interesting techniques to get pieces together and assemblies done as quickly as possible, it could look quite fluid and just like a really well executed speedrun. The example I choose here is Tower Bridge, where I guess the optimal strat would be to build both towers simultaneously. While taking your brain power, with enough practice, it would be very impressive to build both at the same time to cut down on that time, because I think it would save time. And obviously that's a huge juggling, but would look very impressive. So I think that would be a very interesting speedrun to master. Just imagine if we actually had a speedrun, like a speedrun website for Lego, like speedrunning.com. And obviously that's a very hard thing to like get done, but I can just imagine it being a very cool thing. Right, I've been building up to this for the whole video. I'm going to give it a go. The set I've chosen to complete my any percent speedrun of is 75266, the Sith Trooper battle, and I'm going to do it in any percent. And the reason I've chosen this set is because out of recent sets, I chose recent because it might still be on the market. Of 2020 sets that I own, this is the second most common one, the other one being the bookshop, and I want to actually be able to practice this, so it's good that it's small. I think it's got some interesting potential to be optimized, and obviously, most commonly, 10,000 other people on Brickset alone own it, meaning that there's a high chance that at least someone watching might be able to give it a go and then beat my record. So here's what I'm going to do. This is the route I've come up with initially. It might change. I'm going to build the base, then I'm going to do what I'm calling engine 2 skip, where I'm going to build both engines simultaneously. Then I'm going to finish the build, and then I'm going to do the figures last. Now that's the key point. All figures have to be done, studs have to be in stud shooters. And as I'm doing this any percent, all my extra pieces are removed, so that's fine, I think. And here's my final time. You can see it on screen. I haven't done the run yet, so I don't know, but it's on the screen for you. This is the time I was able to whittle it down to after like 6 or 7 practice runs. So what I'm going to do to prove this to you is I'm going to upload my full run on Wednesday. So where we normally have an Octane's Oracle, I'm going to put my full unedited speed run of this set, my best time. And the thing is, I want to be beaten. So here are the rules. The recording needs to be made. So I need to see a recording of this speed run of yours. Obviously, fairly explanatory. Follow the rules, don't cheat. Any questions in the comments. The time starts when you touch the first piece. I don't care whether you do node or any, although if you do any, then that's going to be more comparable to me. I want you to get creative with the routing. Just because I've come up with this way does not make it the best at all. Do some tests, work it out, have some fun with it. I think it is a fun thing. And then obviously let me know in the comments when you make an attempt. I want to see these times and then any evidence if you have a channel or not, but that's no pressure. I want to see this possibly become a thing, and I'm not in a place to really promote it now, but give me 5 years or so, maybe I will set up a website or actually try and do this. But expect to see a couple of these on the channel. We'll start with this one. I might do a couple more at some point. But I just want some people to have some fun with it. So I hope this has inspired you to give it a go. Look out for that recording on Wednesday. Obviously that will have no commentary because it will be a full official speed run of that set. And consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Obviously, please get involved if you can. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.